Welcome everyone to this brand new podcast series on cross-cultural and global communication. I'm Yogesh, your host, and joining me is Lily, an intercultural communication specialist who brings deep insight into the nuances of global dialogue. Hi Lily.
Hello, Yogesh, and hello to all our listeners. I'm so excited to be part of this series. I believe this topic is more important now than ever, especially in our interconnected, fast paced global economy.
Absolutely. Whether you're a corporate executive leading global teams, an educator collaborating across borders, or even just someone navigating diverse communities, communication across cultures is a skill you can't afford to ignore.
That's so true. And what's interesting is that people often assume communication is universal. We think that as long as we speak the same language, we're on the same page. But culture adds a layer of complexity that often goes unnoticed.
Exactly. And that's what we want to unpack across this 12-episode series. Today, we're starting with the basics. What is cross-cultural communication? Why does it matter? And how does it affect the way we connect in global settings?
Segment 1. What is cross-cultural communication?
Let's begin with a simple definition. Cross-cultural communication refers to the process of recognizing and bridging differences in language, behavior, values and norms when people from different cultures interact.
Yes, and at the core of it, it's about understanding how culture shapes the way we send and receive messages. What might be considered polite in one culture could be seen as distant or even rude in another.
Exactly. For example, think about eye contact. In many Western cultures, maintaining eye contact is a sign of confidence and attentiveness. But in several Asian cultures, prolonged eye contact can be interpreted as disrespectful or aggressive.
That's a great example. Or think something like silence. In Western meetings, silence can be uncomfortable. It's often seen as a lack of engagement. But in countries like Japan or Finland, silence can mean reflection or respect.
These subtleties can lead to misunderstandings if you are not aware of them. And what makes it more challenging is that we often interpret others' behavior through our own cultural lens without realizing it.
Right. We bring our cultural conditioning into every interaction, our assumptions, values, beliefs, and we often think they're universal when they're not.
Segment 2. Why cross-cultural communication matters today.
So why is this important now? Because the world has never been more globalized. Businesses are expanding internationally, remote work is connecting teams from dozens of countries, even students are participating in global classrooms.
And with that comes opportunity and friction. We heard about projects stalling, deals falling apart, or tensions rising, all because of a breakdown in communication that could have been prevented.
One study I recall from McKinsey suggested that cultural misunderstandings are among the top reasons for failure in international mergers and acquisitions.
Wow, that's a strong statistic. And even at the team level, we've seen employees disengage or leave roles because they feel their perspectives aren't understood or valued.
Which is why cultural intelligence, not just awareness, is becoming one of the top leadership competencies.
It's not enough to know about cultural differences, you have to adapt. And that adaptability comes through curiosity, empathy, and continuous learning.
Segment 3. Foundations and Models in Cross-Cultural Communication.
Let's briefly touch on some foundational models that help us understand cross-cultural dynamics. We'll go deeper into these in the next episode, but a good starting point is Gert Hofstede's Cultural Dimensions theory.
Yes, Hofstede outlines 6 dimensions like power distance, individualism versus collectivism, and uncertainty avoidance that explain how people from different cultures behave in organizational settings.
Another useful model is Edward Hall's high context versus low context communication theory. In high context cultures like China or Arab world, communication is subtle and layered. In low context cultures like Germany or the US, communication is more direct and explicit.
And there's Erin Mayer's Culture Map, which offers a practical framework for global teams, covering areas like feedback styles, decision making, and trust building across cultures.
These models give us the vocabulary and tools to move beyond stereotypes and actually analyze what's happening in cross-cultural settings.
Segment 4. Personal Anecdotes and Misunderstandings.
Let's lighten the mood a bit. Have you ever experienced a cultural misunderstanding that turned into a learning moment?
Oh, yes. I once gave a workshop in Brazil and opened with a very formal and structured introduction, which I thought was respectful, but the audience looked disengaged. Later, someone told me that a more relaxed and personal opening would have worked better. They value warmth over formality.
I've been there too. I once worked with a German team and tried to be humorous in a presentation opener, something that worked well in India or the US, but there it came off as unprofessional.
That taught me to study audience expectations closely.
These moments are humbling, but they're also rich opportunities for growth.
They really are. And that's the mindset we want to encourage in our listeners. Not to avoid cultural differences, but to engage with them thoughtfully.
Segment 5. What listeners can expect in this series?
So, what can you expect in the upcoming episodes? We'll be unpacking a variety of themes, like how body language differs across regions, how to communicate in multicultural teams, and how technology influences global conversations.
We'll also bring in case studies from global businesses, insights from research, and real-life examples from our coaching and training work.
And we'll give you action steps, small habits and tools you can apply immediately, whether you are leading a meeting, building a team, or pitching to international clients.
By the end of this series, we hope you'll walk away with practical skills, greater cultural sensitivity, and a global communication toolkit.
Final thoughts? Today's episode was just the tip of the iceberg. If there's one thing I'd leave our listeners with, it's this. Don't assume similarity. Be curious, ask questions, and listen with the intent to learn. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Lily. Beautifully said. And for our listeners, we invite you to reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever encountered a cultural misstep? What did you learn from it? If you found this episode of Corporate Communication useful, don't forget to join us leadershipacademy.tagbizsakra.com. Do share it with your friends and colleagues and leave your review. We'll be back next week with episode 2, Cultural Dimensions and Frameworks. Until then, stay curious and stay respectful.